Hello, I'm Mr. Ward and I'm just going to spend a few minutes talking you through the GCSE Geography course. Obviously, if you've got any questions at the end of this, you can just come and find me in school and that'll be absolutely fine. But hopefully this will give you a good idea of what geography is about. Okay, so first up, your teachers for Year 10 will be me, Mr. Ward. I'm head of subject, and as well Mr. Pearson. So between us, we've got I suppose, a good blend there of youth and experience. The exam board that we follow is AQA. We switched to AQA from this year, and the reason we did that is because we use AQA at A level as well, so it gives a much sort of smoother transition from GCSE into A level. The AQA GCSE course as well is actually really interesting. The topics are not dissimilar to what we've been doing for the last few years, but they've kind of got a fresh approach to them, which is nice. In terms of the actual topics, well, they're all on the screen there. I'm going to go through them individually sort of quite quickly, but if you want a look, obviously just you can pause the video here and just have a look what's coming up, but I'm going to cover them now anyway. So the first section is living with the physical environment, and within there we've got the challenge of natural hazards. And the challenge of natural hazards has us looking at seismic events, volcanic eruptions, tropical storms, climate change, and weather related events in the UK. And our focus is on the causes of these different events, the effects of those events, and also how people can respond to those events in the short and long term. Next up in the living with the physical environment section is the living world. So we focus on 3 ecosystems or biomes within this topic, and we look at the polar regions, we look at hot deserts, and we look at the tropical rainforests. Again, it's kind of trying to understand how these ecosystems function, but also how they are important for humans and the damage that humans are doing to them, and what we can do to kind of approach our use of these different environments in a more sustainable way. Next up, after that, we have physical landscapes in the UK. So these will be familiar to everybody really, because we've looked at them previously during Key Stage 3, but obviously we're building on what we did then. So we've got rivers, including river management. We also have coasts and coastal management, and the final little section within this topic is glaciated landscapes. Then if we move on to challenges in the human environment, and the first thing we look at is urban issues and challenges. So we're kind of focusing there, looking on how urbanisation, which is a growth in the number of people who are living in towns and cities around the world, has affected many countries. If we look over on the left there, you can see what's supposed to be rural to urban migration. So showing this phenomenon of people moving from countryside areas into cities, and obviously that causes cities to grow very quickly, and in the poorer countries in the world, lots of problems created because of that as well. We also look at cities in wealthier parts of the world, and we actually focus on Manchester as a case study, which is great because it gives us an opportunity to go out and do some field work in Manchester later in the course. Next up in the challenges in the human environment section is the changing economic world. So in this topic, the focus is very much on development and the development gap, understanding that countries around the world are at different levels of development and trying to find out the reasons for that and trying to see what we can do to kind of bridge that gap. So you can see there, obviously contrasting images of children in one part of the world compared with children in other parts of the world. We also look at how the economy of the UK has changed over time and how it will change in the future. And also one of the focuses which is quite interesting is the north-south divide within the UK and what's being done to kind of try and level things up. And the image down in the bottom right-hand corner there is an image to show what one of the terminals for the HS2 high-speed link between London and the north will look like. Next up, we have the challenge of resource management. So we look at food security, both within the UK, and so some of you will be familiar with those sort of images at the top left at the moment. We also have food security within, again, some of the less developed countries in the world, which is obviously more of a pressing issue. We also look at water security and the growing concerns around availability of water, not just in some of the poorer countries in the world that are suffering the most from climate change and the impacts of climate change, but also within the UK as well. So there's a little image there of Ladybar Reservoir in the summer of 2022 when the levels got very, very low indeed. And we also look at energy, so energy security, so the move away from fossil fuels, which are largely responsible for causing climate change, and embracing renewable energies like wind power and solar power. Obviously, you know, probably the best part of any geography course is field work, because field work, I mean, I guess what we do in the classroom, you know, is understand all the principles and the ideas, all those key parts of what geography is about. But the best place to actually find out more is to go out into the world, if you like, and actually carry out some field work. So there's lots of field work availability, opportunities rather, at GCSE. We go out for at least 2 days over the course, and that will consist of one day doing a physical geography trip and another day doing a human geography trip. So, you know, we could be going out to look at a river or going to the coast. We'll certainly be going into Manchester as well to have a look around there to build on what we've done in our classwork. In terms of assessment, there are 3 written exams at the end of year 11. The first paper focuses on the physical geography side of things. So it says there at the top, doesn't it, what's assessed: the challenge of natural hazards, living world, physical landscapes in the UK, and also includes that geographical skills. It's worth 35% of the GCSE, and the exam is an hour and a half. The second paper is pretty much the same thing, but this time it focuses on human geography. So it's the urban issues and challenges, changing economic world, and the challenge of resource management, and again incorporating geographical skills in there as well. Once again, 35% of the GCSE, and it's an hour and a half long. And then the final exam is an issue evaluation, field work questions, and geographical skills. The issue evaluation, the way that works is that in the spring of the year of the exam board issue a pre-release booklet, it's called, which has information on a particular geographical topic or subject, and then which we have to study, and then there are questions on that in this exam. So yeah, if you're wondering what that is, but again, the assessment is an hour and 15 minutes of an exam, and it's 30% of the GCSE. So that's 100%. So that's all the assessment there. I suppose the final thing to say is, you know, why choose geography? Well, I mean, I kind of sort of just go through this almost word for word, really. I think geographers are renowned for having a really good wide range of skills. They're sometimes called kind of the number one top subject, if you like, for giving skills. And some of the most important ones are sort of decision making, critical thinking, data interpretation, data analysis, teamwork, and communication skills. And they're all really, really valuable. And, you know, obviously one of the key things with them is that they are transferable, so they can be used for, you know, one career to a different career, or one subject to a different subject. So they are really, really, really useful. And as a result of that, geographers are they are genuinely sought after by colleges, universities, and employers, because all of those know that geographers know the stuff, basically. And I think the other thing as well, that it's never been more relevant. So obviously we're facing huge problems at the moment in terms of climate change, population growth, etc. And they're going to be things that we need to tackle going into the future. And it's, you know, important to think that geographers, more than anybody else, possess that knowledge and understanding that will enable them to do that. So sustainability is something so important now and is at the heart of economic growth, and geographers are, you know, in a perfect place to secure positions in some of the UK's fastest growing industries. So, you know, it's really, really important that in terms of, you know, the subject itself, I think most people enjoy studying it for GCSE, have a good time doing it. And also, you know, in terms of what it leads on to, well, it's kind of endless, really. It's lots and lots of things, so it's well worth a look at. Again, if you want to find out more about it, please just come and find myself or Mr. Pearson, and we can have a chat with you. Okay, thank you very much.